my spooky friends, and welcome back to another Halloween themed video here on the channel. And this is Tag Tuesday. So this is the very first Tag Tuesday that we're doing for Halloween. So every Tuesday in October we will be doing a tag like this that's spooky themed, but this is an original tag. So this is the Haunted Victorian book tag, and it's based on my stories out of the Haunted Victorian. So if you haven't heard my ghost stories of when I was growing up and when my family owned an old haunted house back in St. John's, Newfoundland, I'll have the playlist linked down below so you guys can go back and listen to all the ghost stories as well. So for now, let's get into the Haunted Victorian book tag. Question number 1, Halloween 1979, move-in day. Tell a story of your favorite childhood memory during Halloween. So for me, I've told this story many times on the channel about how I loved Halloween as a child, and we always used to cut our trick-or-treating short so we could rush home and watch YTV's Dark Night. So in Canada, we had a TV station called YTV, and the program jockeys, the PJs, would dress up and do skits and prizes and all kinds of fun things, and we would have marathons of our favorite shows. So Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, Buffy. It had a full marathon that ran the whole night of Halloween, and of course we all stayed up late and dove into all the candy that we went out and got. So of course when I was growing up, I think it might be a little bit different today, but when I was growing up we hit as many houses as humanly possible, but then we cut it all short and went home and watched YTV's Dark Night. And for me, going home meant going home to a haunted house and watching all of those spooky shows. So that's my favorite Halloween memory from growing up. So prompt number 2 is built in 1902. So the old Haunted Victorian was originally built in the year of 1902. And for this prompt, the question is, tell us your favorite Gaslamp author or story or book. And for me, I'm going to go with Edgar Allan Poe. I was a huge Poe fan when I was growing up, and I still am to this day. And my favorite work by him is Annabelle Lee. I absolutely love that poem, but of course we had other wonderful things like The Mask of the Red Death, and The Telltale Heart was another really popular one. So Edgar Allan Poe was definitely my favorite Gaslamp author. Prompt number 3 is the haunted staircase. Have you ever had a paranormal experience? And if so, tell us about it. So for me, of course, I grew up obviously in a haunted house, so I've had many paranormal experiences in my lifetime. And again, I'll have the playlist of my ghost stories linked down below so you guys can go back and listen to all of them. But I want to hear, have you guys ever had any paranormal experiences? For prompt number 4, it's Sleepwalker. Tell us your favorite book about a creepy kid or creepy doll. And for this, I'm going to go with the Frozen Charlotte series by Alex Bell. And this book series is probably the creepiest doll book series that I've ever read. Both books are 5 stars, and you definitely get all of the spooky and creepy feels from this book series. Prompt number 5 is The Angry Ghost. Recommend a book with a vengeful or demonic character. And for this, I'm going to go with The Devil's Mistress by David Barclay. And this is a book about a very vengeful witch. And even though she is vengeful and she does terrible things, I find that the reader is constantly cheering her on. So this, I thought, was perfect for this prompt. Prompt number 6 is The Woman in Black. Tell us a ghost story or well-known urban legend from the area you're from. And for this one, I wanted to tell the story of the haunted bridge that we have here in Calgary, Alberta. It is the St. George's Bridge, and back in 1946, little Donnie Gross was playing at a playground at the southeast corner of St. George's Island. And an older man approached little Donnie and lured him with candy and toys underneath the St. George's Bridge. And little Donnie was brutally murdered and hidden behind a bush. And to this day in Calgary, Alberta, passers-by the St. George's Bridge can still hear little Donnie calling for help. Prompt number 7 is The Well. Recommend a horror book or movie with a sad or tragic plot. And for this one, I wanted to recommend Thornhill by Pam Smythe. And this book is absolutely tragic. It's a split timeline, and the story is told through diary entries of a young girl who was in an orphanage and had a tragic past. The book is heavily illustrated, and the story is told both through diary entries, a present-day young girl who moves in next to the orphanage, and through those heavy illustrations. This book is going to break your heart. Prompt number 8 is Cemetery Playground. Each tomb tells a story. Recommend a horror anthology. And for this one, I'm going to go with The Trick-or-Treater and Other Stories by Brianna Morgan. This is a fantastic horror anthology to read during Halloween, and I personally love the story about the trick-or-treater. And prompt number 9 is The Sleepover. What were your sleepover must-haves when you were a child? So I used to tell ghost stories in the Haunted Victorian whenever I'd have the girls come over for a sleepover. And at first, my parents couldn't figure out why in the middle of the night all of the girls would wake up crying to go home. And it was because I was telling them the stories about the house that they were currently staying in. And of course, this was a very old home, a big drafty house, and all of the young girls, as soon as we started to drift off, probably started thinking about, were they going to see something peek around the corner, or maybe see the veiled lady floating down the staircase. So for me, ghost stories is one of my must-haves for a sleepover. And usually I was the chief storyteller at my sleepovers. And like most other people, horror movies specifically were a must-have for sleepovers. I think back in the 80s and 90s, parents were more inclined to let groups of teenagers or young preteens watch spooky movies if they were all staying together and they could comfort each other during sleepovers. So that was the one time I would always watch spooky movies that I probably wouldn't have been allowed to watch any other time of the year. So of course, I'm gonna tag everyone to do this. Dress up, get spooky, and come up with some wonderful answers to this tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up, leave me your question or comment down below, and even if you're not going to make a video, let me know what your answers are for the prompts down below. Until next time, stay spooky everybody. Bye.